Hey guys, it's me Shane, and I'm here to give you a movie review. I'm going to be reviewing Disney Pixar's Soul. Came out on Christmas of 2020. Happy New Year, by the way, just in case I didn't say that to you on my last videos. Been meaning to make this video for maybe about a week or so. And yeah, I just had to take time to ruminate on it, think about what I want to do. I actually got some notes down here, some things I want to bring up, but let me give you a quick rundown. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There will be spoilers in this movie for me to address some of the things that are brought up about it and for me to give you a general opinion, but I will not be going through each and everything that happened in the movie. But first, let's do a little overview of Soul. Soul is obviously, if you've paid attention to any of the marketing, about a jazz player named Joe Gardner. I'm going to assume that Joe is either in his late 30s or early 40s, just based on how he looks with the hair and whatnot. One of the interesting things about this movie is directed by Pete Docter, who has also directed Up, Monsters Inc., and Inside Out. Excuse me. Now, I haven't seen Inside Out. I heard it was a good movie. Those other movies are pretty good. He's had a hand in most of the Disney Pixar movies. If not, I'm going to fact check myself real quick. He's had a hand in most. There's only a few that he has not had a hand in, but these are the three that he has directed. This movie has jazz music in it. Something that you all probably don't know about me is I've played the saxophone since I was in fifth grade. I'll be 33 at the end of this month, so I've been playing saxophone for a long time. Um, One of the things that they did was they consulted jazz musicians like Herbie Hancock, Terry Lane Carrington. I love Herbie Hancock, and they actually had John Baptiste, wonderful jazz musician. He's also plays for Stephen Colbert's house band. He's actually in his house band on the is it late night show? Late night show on Channel 2 on CBS. Most of the musical compositions you hear, he's the one that's done them. There's also a couple of musicians like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross who composed the film score. Beautiful music. I'm gonna end up saying that again, but I just had to throw that out there. So what happens in the movie? Well, Joe Gardner is a music teacher, and we get a nice little sequence of him teaching students. We see one of his students, an Asian young lady named Connie. She's getting down with the trombone, and he tells the students don't laugh at her because sometimes you just feel the music, and that's what got him into music. Of course, they're young people, they're teenagers, they don't fully understand it. Excuse me. He gets, he is now a fully hired teacher as soon as he's done with the class. Spoke with his mother about it, who her name is Liba. Sorry, she owns her own her own seamstress, her own tailoring business. Joe's father was a jazz musician. His mother's just happy, but Joe, it's very obvious he doesn't want to be a school teacher. He doesn't want to just have that job. Well, one of his old students, Curly, gave him a call, and a famous jazz uh, she's not just a singer, but she's a saxophone player, Dorothea. She needs an extra piano guy because their piano guy got sick, couldn't join them. And Curly was an old student of his. Only reason why he got into music was because of Mr. Gardner. And so Joey says, "Yeah, I'll do this. If I could die happy if I'm able to play with her." Completely impressed her. Dorothea has some very big energy. I love the sass behind this woman. Um, Shows his stuff, gets into it. She hires him for that night. He's on the phone, and he narrowly escapes death three times until he falls into a manhole and he dies. At this point, we see that he is a soul on his way to the great beyond, which looks like a bug zapper once you get there. He breaks free of the conveyor belt and he goes to the land where souls are more or less given their personality, which I'm still trying to understand how they give souls narcissistic personality. That's not a really good thing, but whatever. He is trying to find his way back to Earth, and there is a portal back to Earth. He tries hard and hard to go, but the only way you can go back is if you're a new soul and you have this patch that fills up. It fills up with your interests, your personality, who you are, and then you have to. The last one, excuse me, is a spark that you have. Well, somehow Soul Joe, gets confused for being this physicist guy that also just died, and he is there to mentor Soul 22. One of the things that should catch your eye, and one of the greatest details, is that they were naming 1 billion something something Soul. She's 22. She's been there for a while. She's had Gandhi. She's had Mother Teresa, Muhammad Ali. She's had many, many other famous passed away people who were the best in what they do, specialists in what they do, that she turned them on. She made peaceful people want to wring her neck and all sorts of things. Well, Joe more or less tells her, I'm not this guy. They walk, and one of the coolest things is that they walk through the museum of this other guy's life. And she's been there so long, she knows how all these things work. She brings up a podium, Joe puts his hand on it, his soul hand on it, and boom, his whole life. And he's just looking through like, this is it, this is all I've done. And she remarks that you led a pretty boring life. You didn't really do anything, did you? But then there's the moment where he's playing and he's in the zone playing for Dorothea. And he's like, this is why I got to get back. I have this gig. I need to do this. She would love to give him her soul patch because she doesn't want to get a life. She wants to just stay this young, immature soul forever. Through some strange events, but pretty cool events, they find, they're able to give Joe a little bit more time because the ones who are in charge of all this are called the Jerry, which appear like, how do I express this? You ever seen avant-garde art where like they make a person's face but it's flat and the nose is really long? That's how they all appear, but they appear like that because that's how the feeble human mind can comprehend it. And they're all named Jerry, except for one, the accountant named Terry, who realizes that there is a soul missing. Of course, that soul is Joe. But we'll get into that in a moment. Joe is, he's going to have to go to the great beyond because the other Jerrys, who are played by some very famous voice actors, I'll get to that later, say, you tried, we didn't really expect you to. And 22 says, well, hold on, I think we're going to try this other thing, because they go through a hall of all sorts of interests. Even pizza and baking. The thing about being a soul is you can't feel, you can't touch, you can't taste. Apparently, 22 picks the voice of Tina Fey because it annoys people. She can be any voice that she wants. She technically isn't a she, she's technically an it or a they. If you want to use a pronoun, you can say they, but 22 is technically a soul that has not been formed yet, right? Even though 22 has tons of personality. I'm going to call 22 she for the rest of the video. Anyway, 22 leads Joe through this pathway, and they go to like this sea where the people who are alive there, while their souls are attached, and you're in the zone, there is a place where your zone is in the afterlife area, and you're between both worlds because you're just feeling it. And she makes a funny joke of making the Knicks lose because she's always interrupting the players. And we meet this ship of souls that are still on Earth, but they're in a zen state of mind that they can be there, and they help lost souls, which are people who are just constantly obsessing over a thing that they become these monstrous things. But once they do a ritual, they're able to break them down into, who they really are. Well, they try to do this ritual with Joe, and, they ever see Joe's body. He's in the hospital. There's a therapy cat there, and he's eager to get back. Before he can even finish instruction, he jumps in, and 22 is put along with him. Joe is now in the body of the cat. 22 is in his body. And through some fidangling, they are able to find, I believe the soul that was helping them was a soul named, give me 1 second, please, Moonwind. Moonwind is played by Graham Norton. If you're a fan of British broadcasting television, if you're Whovian, you probably know the Graham Norton show. Graham Norton, pretty good host, pretty funny guy, very nice voice. and they have to find him so they can do this ritual because he needs to get in his body because he needs to perform for Dorothea. Well, while he's in this body, 22 is experiencing life, and while she's having adverse reactions, she's also experiencing life. She's experiencing autumn. She's experiencing seeds on the tree, people walking, people playing. Connie comes by. Connie wants to quit the trombone, but Connie can't quit the trombone because she loves it, and that inspiration leads to 22 wanting to be in Joe's body a little bit longer. And we get to the point where 22, Joe uses 22 body to have a nice little heart to heart conversation with his mother, telling her, jazz is the thing I really want to do. I know you don't want me to be like my father and feel like I'm going to waste my life, but this is what I want. We also have a moment where 22 uh, has to go to the barbershop and has a conversation with Big Dez, the person who always cuts Joe's hair, but Joe never really had a conversation with Dez, and because 22 is a new soul with thousands of years worth of knowledge, she brings up these theories. Of course, other patrons and other workers, they flock to her, listening to what she's saying, but she asks a lot of questions. She asks things of Dez, and Dez makes a big point of saying he wants to be a veterinarian, but he didn't really give up on life just because he couldn't be a veterinarian. He had a daughter. He needed to pay bills. He learned how to cut hair, and he enjoys cutting hair. He gets to meet all sorts of people. Uh, Eventually, they do meet Moonwind. Moonwind gives them a time to meet them at the club. 22 then runs off in Joe's body because she wants to find that spark. She wants to experience more. She can only understand how good life is by walking a mile in Joe's shoes. Uh, Through a series of mishaps, they have a very angry moment, and Joe says, "This is my life. Get your own." They're eventually caught by Terry. The only one of these beings that's not named Jerry is Terry. Um, I'll get into that voice actor later. And Terry, Terry is obsessed with the count being right. They get Terry. Terry gets both of their souls. Terry even accidentally grabbed a hater from the barbershop, but that guy's probably going to be traumatized forever. Regardless, the patch on 22 had glowed, and she, of course, gives it to Joe because Joe's like, my life and all this, that, and the third. And soon we see that 22 becomes a lost soul because she goes back to that sea and she's lamenting on, "I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this." And one of the things that one of the Jerrys says, the Jerry that is played by, if I can find his name, because I couldn't write all these names down, guys, I'm sorry. Played by Richard Oyode, also known as Moss from the IT crowd. Has a very distinctive voice. I'm pretty sure he's also in Apple and Onion. That's a show that was on Cartoon Network. Regardless, great voice. Alicia Braga is the other Jerry, the motherly Jerry. But this Jerry tells uh, Joe, she says, you humans, you guys think that your spark is your main purpose in life. That's not how this works. Joe eventually gets back to his body. He has the suit. His mother tailored his father's jazz suit for him. He comes in. He had to Curly convince Dorothea to still use him as their piano player. Excuse me, because of course, through the mishap of Joe and 22 getting out of the hospital, she sees him in the gown, thinks he's crazy. But he kills it and he performs. But he says, "I thought I would get a different feeling because I'm finally doing something I really want to do." And she says one of the best lines I've ever heard. There was this fish, and he talks to the other fish, and he says, "I want to go into the ocean. I want to go to the ocean." And the other fish goes, "Well, you are. You're in water right now." And the fish goes, "No. See, right now I'm in." He says, "You're on the ocean," and the other fish says, "No, I'm in water. What I want is the ocean." I didn't really understand that. I understood it, but I didn't understand it. So Joe goes home, and because 22 was in his body, he has the memory of all these things that happened. And he has the emotion behind it and everything else. And he starts, playing the piano, playing because 22 had these trinkets that she collected throughout the day. He kind of plays this melody that kind of goes along with the trinkets and the memories behind them, and eventually Joe finds his way back to Soul World. He wants to make things right. Um, Moonwind is there too. Moonwind sees that 22 has become a lost soul because usually lost souls have to be tethered to a body. She didn't have a body at first, but now she did have a body. And they go careening through the early parts where the soul, the soul, I call it the soul daycare. And Joe talks her down after she hears all the voices of all the people that were mad at her. And Joe's that final one saying that you don't count, it doesn't matter. And he gives her the seed that she gathered and say, you do deserve to be someone. It's fine. I'm okay. He's come to terms with his death and he gives her back her patch. Go out and have a great life. Well, the Jerrys are wonderful. They say, what you did for her and what you did coming back, we're going to give you another chance. They had to trick Terry into thinking that the count was right. And, the Jerry, who's played by Alicia, she tells him, just watch out for manholes, pay attention. What are you going to do with your life? He's like, I'm going to live it to the fullest, no matter what. And that is the end of the movie. 60 minutes or less. It's an hour and 36-minute movie. I obviously didn't tell you everything that happened. You should definitely watch it. So, I'm going to give you the good. The good is the voice acting. Like, Jamie Foxx plays Joe Gardner. Couldn't tell it was Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is a phenomenal actor. It was great that I wasn't taken out of it that it was him because I couldn't tell it was him. Amazing. Tina Fey, like I said, plays Soul 22. Tina Fey is a good actress, regardless of how you feel about her. I told you about Graham Norton. Rachel House plays Terry. Rachel House, that's the name that she got when she was adopted. Apparently, she played the grandmother in Moana. She is very much a Polynesian person. I won't even attempt to name the family names of the tribe. It's difficult, and I don't want to be disrespectful. Felicia Rashad. The wonderful Felicia Rashad is Leba Gardner, Joe's mother. Great voice. Donnell Rawlings is Dez, the barber. Questlove played Curly. Couldn't even tell it was Questlove. Haven't heard Questlove speak in a very long time, especially since the whole global situation. But yeah, he did a great job too. Angela Bassett was Dorothea Williams, the jazz musician and saxophone player. Great choices. Like I said, and I'm skipping over some of the others because there's some other people in here, like I said, but fantastic voice cast, fantastic music. Anytime they had jazz music playing, it was amazing. Anytime they had background music, it was amazing. Uh, this movie is 99, or I'll give you 98% black. Most of the characters that you see on screen are black people and non-black people of color. There's an Indian doctor. There's like a white lady here and a white guy there, but black people everywhere. I can't really think of another anime movie where there's mostly us on the screen. Really great job. Um, as with most Pixar movies, it looks beautiful. It's beautifully animated. It looks amazing. The colors pop. There's nothing, you get the emotions you're supposed to get when you see these colors and when you see these things. I already mentioned the music. So, the bad. It's hard to tell what the message was supposed to be until for me, until the end of the movie. I can tell the message is appreciate your life and appreciate the little things in life, and make of life what make your life what you want of it. Joe spent his whole time chasing the whale, chasing this feeling of playing with Dorothea, which he's gonna keep doing because even Dorothea said, "I will still see you tomorrow night." It's what he wants to do. He loves playing jazz music. He's gonna do that. But the fulfillment from life is enjoying it. He enjoyed the breath. He saw how 22 enjoyed just seeing people talk and gather and enjoying the seasons. He got this moment when 22 was saying, yeah, when 22 was talking to Des was like, you only talked to me about jazz. You never asked me about my family and myself before. So we get the message of enjoy it. Don't be obsessed with what you think you're supposed to do, but enjoy life, enjoy the parts that you want to gather, and enjoy everything else that comes along with it. There's no real antagonist, but that's kind of mostly most Pixar movies. When I think about Toy Story, yeah, the antagonist was Sid at the end, but Terry was the antagonist. But we get it's a story, it's a wholesome story, and it's a journey you're supposed to go on. So it's kind of nitpicking. I'm just bringing it up. Uh, when I think of other Disney movies, period, I think of like villains like Scar or even Randall from Monsters Inc. He was actually just a flat out a hole. Um, and one of the big issues was he was not black all the time. And this is going to blend into the criticism. I have a criticism section I want to get into. Uh, as with most movies about black people, for whatever reason, we are not always black. I think back to, I can't remember the name of this movie, but it was with Tom Holland and Will Smith. It was a spy movie. And Will Smith's character turned into a pigeon. I didn't see this movie, but from what I heard from people that did watch it, dude turns into a pigeon almost immediately. Actually, I have notes and I timed how long Joe was a black guy in the beginning. It took 8 minutes to became he became Blue Soul. 32 minutes in, he became a cat, and then like maybe 10 to 20 minutes, he became Soul again. He became himself. I give this movie credit because he's actually a brother. He's a black man, maybe like between 45 to 51% of this movie, which is way better than Princess and the Frog, which, given the source material, yeah, but I give Princess and the Frog a lot of flack because there is no black prince. He's Creole. They make sure to let you know that. Shame on you. Anyway, it's better than the Pigeon movie. Yeah, a lot of people, some people aren't gonna want to give it its kudos, but let's be happy that at least for 45 to 51% of this movie, he is a black dude. He's walking around. He is himself. We even get a great moment where as a cat, he says, you got to hail a cab like this, and makes the joke of it's hard to get a cab anyway being black. So, movie's very aware of what's going on, and I think they made sure to have Joe at least go back to his body. The whole movie wasn't him outside of his body looking. He did get back there and was able to learn his lesson, and actually fulfill the thing he wanted to do, which was play with Dorothea. So I'm actually really glad everything worked out for him. I really was afraid he was going to die at the end of this movie. More of a criticism is that, and this was a discussion I had with someone, and apparently it's a criticism others have had, was that 22 was a better black man than Joe, given that barbershop scene. Flat out, that's not the case. All it's saying is that 22 was a better person, because technically 22 is not even shaped in anything. 22 is not male or female. I say she because it's easier because I'm thinking of Tina Fey, but 22 is a just a wandering soul, an immature soul at that, because she's afraid of life. And that's part of what the movie's message is, not to cut myself off, is don't be afraid of life. Don't be afraid of not knowing what your thing is. Just go for it. But yeah, she's not being a better black man. She's being a better person. Sometimes in life, you all know, most of you probably have that one friend that you only talk about the one thing with. Sometimes you got a friend that you only talk about sports with, or a friend that you only talk about the news with, or a friend that you only talk about making money or stocks and blah, 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 anime game, blah, 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 blah. And sometimes you have friends that you talk about everything. You talk about their life, your life, everything under the sun. Don't be a person that's one track mind. Actually care about the people you're having a conversation with. Listen and don't interrupt. That's just all that was. She wasn't being a better black guy. Period. My opinion. Period. I already mentioned how long he was black in the movie. Still better than Princess and the Frog. Still better than the Pigeon movie. Can't think of another one of these movies because we don't get a lot of animated movies about us anyway. And to wrap up, I will give you my thoughts and feelings on this movie. This movie is good. It is not great. It is not terrible. It is good. It is a good movie. Point blank. It's not in Disney Pixar's top 5 by any means and by any stretch of the imagination. No. And to be quite frank with you, this isn't really a movie for children. I actually wrote a top five. To me, the top five. Mind you, I have not watched every single Disney Pixar movie, but you know, I'm the generation that started with, so I've seen most. My top five has to be Toy Story 1, Monsters Inc., Coco for sure, Finding Nemo, and oh Lord, I don't know. Oh, Incredibles. The Incredibles. You can't tell me Incredibles is not a great movie. I haven't seen two because I didn't think it needed a sequel. That withstanding, those are way better movies that give you emotion, plot, story, great pacing. Pacing in the movie wasn't bad either. It's a Disney Pixar movie. It's a good movie. It's just I wouldn't watch. I would have your kids watch Toy Story, Monsters Inc. Excuse me, and Finding Nemo and Incredibles. Coco is more. They can watch Coco, but Coco's kind of it's for us. It's for people who are over 22, and so is this movie. Your kids can watch it. I would definitely watch it with your children if you have children. Watch it with your nieces and nephews, your godchildren, blah 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 blah. Definitely watch it with them and show it to them. But it's for us. It's something that you're supposed to get out of it. This movie didn't have me crying my eyes out like I did in uh, Toy Story 3 for very obvious reasons if you grew up with Toy Story 3, I was bawling my eyes out the whole time. This movie, I there was a few moments where I cried because I felt the emotion. I felt, I understood that conversation he was having with his mother. I understood him going, man, I don't think I'm doing anything with my life. I understood him going, wait a minute, I'm not appreciating what I have. There are moments that, as an adult, you can identify and appreciate. And that's mostly why we all like Disney movies, right? My water. We love these movies because we see ourselves in them. Whether you see yourself in what had happened with Bambi, you see yourself in The Lion King, where it's like you can't wait to fulfill your destiny, but then along the way things happen. You're growing up like Andy, like in Toy Story. You realize the world isn't what it seems, like in Monsters Inc. You realize that you're a hero, you're a hero, even if the world doesn't call you one. It's just a trait that you have. You realize that no one is ever really gone as long as people remember you. Man, Coco's getting me. Nah, that kind of got me choked up a little bit. Sorry about the length of this video, but I just wanted to kind of be a little bit thorough on this. This movie felt like it deserved this, and it was pretty good. It's pretty good, guys. Not terrible, not bad, and I do appreciate there being more black people, more people of color in this movie. I've seen the background art for this movie on social media. The background artists, there's tons of people. There's a gay couple with the kid. There's a multiracial couple. There's so many people in the background of this movie. Please look up the art when you get a chance. Please give this a watch. Uh, on my scale of 1 to 5, one being bad, 5 being good, I give it a 4. It's not super stupendous, and it's not average. It's a good movie, and I mostly give it also a 4 because I love jazz. I'm a musician, so please let me know what you thought of the movie. Did you see them? Have you seen Soul? If you have, did you like it? Did you hate it? What are your criticisms of it? What was your favorite part? I do like the whole. I do like one of the things I like is that they didn't attach this to a religious aspect. They took it from a theoretical concept of going to the great beyond, not knowing what it is, and the great beyond still being a scary thing because it looked like a bug zapper, and how souls are formed and who you become. Interesting take, an interesting way to go about it. So, as always, thank you for coming. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to get notified of more videos like this. We do them every Thursday. We do anime reviews on the weekends. Trying to add more videos in there for you guys because there's a lot of good stuff on Netflix. So, as always, please be good and be blessed. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Stay safe out there. As always, Black Lives Matter. And I will definitely see you next time. Yeah, I really do like Monsters Inc.